welcome to the Black Forest. My name's Gordon and I'm here to tell you all about the cuckoo clocks. Now, we will start off with a little bit of history. So, now the story begins over 350 years ago in 1640. Now, this is when the first clocks in the Black Forest were made, but they did not immediately start making cuckoo clocks. The first ones were just very simple wooden clocks like this one here. Now, they were actually so simple, if you look, they didn't even have a minute hand. The first clocks only showed the hours. That's because 1640 was a very simple time. There were no such thing as deadlines, and nobody had any buses to catch. All you needed were the hours. Now, it's a weight-driven clock, which means it's powered by the stone hanging down here. To wind it, you take the string, pull up the weight, like so. Then over time, the weight slowly drops back down, and every time it gets low, you wind it up again. And this is how you keep the clock running. And the cuckoo clocks now also work the same way. They are powered by metal weights now, but the principle is the same. So, it was in the 1700s that the clockmakers really started to get creative. Now, this is when they started making the painted shield clocks, like this one here. And it was a little bit later, around 1760, that they added the very first cuckoo. Now here's every half hour the cuckoo comes out. If it's half past, you only get one cuckoo. But on the full hour, he tells you the time. So 8 o'clock means 8 cuckoos. 5, 6, 7, 8. All the way up to 12 o'clock when he cuckoos 12 times. Now, here we have a special piece. This one was also invented in the 1700s, but it's not a cuckoo clock. Instead, we have the two little figures here. Now, this is the kind of clock which the Germans call a mother-in-law clock. And you can see why. So, just like with the cuckoo clocks, 7 o'clock means 7 bashes to the head, and half past, just to keep him on his toes, she gives him 1 more. Right. Now, if the clock has 3 weights, like this one here, that means it's a musical clock. The third weight powers a music box on the inside. So, we first hear the cuckoo. This time we have to hear 12 cuckoos. So, when the man plays his violin, then the girl comes out to listen to the music. And this movement is also powered by the third weight. So if it only has 2 weights, like this one here, then it will be very simple and only with the cuckoo. In the 1850s, the clockmakers began to carve the pieces, like this one here. Now, this is an early example, so it is more simple, but over time this has developed, and today they can carve pieces like this one. This is how far the art has advanced, but although this is very highly detailed, all the carving is still done the same way that it was hundreds of years ago, by hand, using very simple tools like these. Now, most cuckoo clocks are not as big as this one. In fact, this is the average size of a cuckoo clock. It's much smaller. Now, a very common design is a grape leaf border over the front, like so, and a cuckoo on the crown, like this one here. And voila! Much more simple. Now, they do come in many other shapes and sizes, but this is the most common that you will find. Now, inside the clock will go a mechanism like these. Now, these are also made by hand, but from brass and stainless steel. And when they are well maintained, these mechanisms last for an average of 70 years. Now, here I have an interesting piece. This here is what the music box looks like. This is inside every clock with 3 weights, and we have just heard the violin clock playing its music, which everybody could hear clearly, no? But I am playing this music for you now. Can we hear it? Yeah. Yes, but it's very faint, no? Now, it's not broken. If you want to hear the music properly, I only have to take a piece of wood. If I put them together now, listen. We can hear this now?
Yes.
So there's a big difference, yes. Now this is thanks to the wood. The wood acts as a resonator. That means that it vibrates and it amplifies the volume. So the wooden case of the clock is more important than you might first think. It actually works the same way as the wooden case of a guitar or a violin, for example. Now, here, the most important part of the cuckoo clock is actually a pair of bellows like these. Now these also make a sound, but there you go. So together. So this is how they make the cuckoo sound. It's actually quite simple, just 1, 2. This was an adult cuckoo for a large clock, but the medium-sized clocks will have teenage cuckoos. And the smallest clocks will have baby cuckoos. Now we have two different kinds of mechanical clocks, which you can tell by the weights they have. Remember that when the weight is getting low, you're going to have to wind it up again or the clock will stop. Now if it has the big weights like these, it's an 8-day clock. These ones you have to wind up at most every 8 days. If it has the smaller weights, however, it is a 1-day clock. These ones, when you wind them up, will take about 26 hours to run out of power. So you have weekly winding and you have daily winding, but there is also a third alternative. Now, the third alternative is a battery-powered clock. These are becoming very popular because you don't have to wind them up at all. If it's battery-powered, all you have to do is change the cell once in a year. Now, I have one more kind of clock to show you. If you'd all like to follow me over into this corner, please.
Okay, hello.
Excuse me everybody, we need this clock just for 2 more minutes. You're also welcome to watch the demonstration. So we can make a small half circle here, please everybody. No. So there's also lots of space here. Very good. So I have one more kind of clock to show you. This is our most romantic clock. The figures we see here are 2 newlyweds. Now every hour, the 2 newlyweds will celebrate the new marriage with a little kiss. So we call this one the honeymoon clock. But I'm afraid you have to be over 18 to buy this particular clock. And if you do take the honeymoon clock, then you also have to take one of those mother-in-law clocks with you as well. So all the clocks along the wall here are mechanical. All the clocks on the left-hand side there